have it. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hey, Howard, how are you? I can't hear you, but can you hear me? Well, that's the best possible scenario that people could hear me and not you. We are off to a great start at the Saratoga meet. My favorite uncle. I love him. I love him, people. Okay, so folks, I'm going to talk about the races while Howard gets the technical people involved. I am in my car, as you can see. Just got done addressing about 75 youth basketball players and trying to tell them why they should be nice to referees, because if they're not, you know what's going to happen. Welcome. Merry Christmas. We always look at opening day at Saratoga as Christmas morning. I know there was a little rain up in the area, as predicted by our resident meteorologist, Uncle Howard Kravitz. The rain is over for the weekend, so we're off the turf today, and they should be on the turf for the next 3 days, and hopefully the next 39 days. As I pointed out this morning in a text, as our good friend Charlie was groveling about the off the turf, I said, geez, I wish there were 39 more days after this. So, got to take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine. It's the beginning of the greatest race meet in the world. Uncle's back on the screen. Still can't hear Uncle. Uncle, can the people hear me, do we think? He's flummoxed. He's flummoxed. Look at him. This is Saratoga Today, meant for, well, anyway. Well, I'm going to keep talking in the event that you can hear me. We have unfortunately, half the card today was rained off the turf, of almost half. I think it was 5 out of the 11. Howard and I, if you guys could ever hear us, we'll talk about the early pick 5. 2 of the 5 races were off the turf. The first race, you might look at it and say, geez, it's kind of odd to start the meet with a 1.125 mile race. Those of you who are Saratoga veterans will understand the reason the meet is started. The reason the meet starts with a 1.125 mile race. The starting gate is smack dab in front of the stands, and we want to get this meet off and running literally as close to the fans as possible. So a 1.125 miles is exactly 1 lap of the Saratoga track. So the race will start and end at the finish line. I'm getting texts saying we can hear you but not Howard, and I am obviously expecting our viewership to go up by many, many, many people today. So I'm going to start talking about the first race. The first race is a 1.125 mile. It's a claiming race on dirt. I have to get my picks here. I picked 852 in this race. This is a claiming a 20,000 claimer, so this is a race that'll aggravate Chad Brown. Chad came out earlier this week complaining that there were too many cheaper races, so he is not going to like this race. But he doesn't have anyone in it, so it's not going to matter. I went with the 8, Rocco Strong. Rocco Strong is a horse co-owned by our good friend Marshall Graham and 10 Strike Racing. Not why I picked him, but happy that Marshall owns this horse. One of the many, many highlights of the Belmont at Saratoga Festival was that one of the races that I covered was won by Marshall, and I had the opportunity to interview Marshall in the winner's circle at Saratoga. It's always great when you get to do that with a friend. I've been across the dinner table from Marshall, but never had a chance to interview him, and I hope that scenario takes place again. I went with Rocco Strong. This horse has a lot of experience at a 1.125 miles, 5 times, 1 win, 1 second, 1 third. One of the things you want to look at Saratoga, folks, is in these dirt routes, do not be tricked into thinking that you need horses who are going to come from way, way behind. It typically doesn't materialize. And that's part of the reason I took this 8, Rocco Strong. We know that Kendrick Carmouche wants to be forward just about as much as the rest of us want to breathe air. So I think Kendrick has this horse forward. You don't see too many horses cutting back to 1.125 miles, but he ran in a 1.25 mile race on that Belmont weekend. He was forward in that race, but not for long. He did not last, lost by 42 lengths. He was 33-1. This is a huge drop in class. This horse ran in $150,000 stakes 3 races ago, and today you can own him if you have $20,000. So I'm looking for Kendrick to get a forward trip on Rocco Strong, probably in the top 3, and then have enough at the end. My second choice was I Am the Law. Louis Rivera Jr. gets a mount in this race. John Terranova. This is another big drop. The horse was running. He ran in 5 straight optional claiming races in which he was not available to be claimed, hence the optional. Last time he was available for 50. Howard, you going to speak? We still can't hear Howard. This is great. Last time he was available for 50, and he ran a good third. Today he drops all the way down to 20. I think that this horse has a chance, again, to be relatively forward, and I know he can get the distance. He's got 8 starts at this distance, 1 win, 2 seconds, a third. He had 3 consecutive buyers in the low 80s, and I got to tell you, folks, if someone finds a way to get into the low 80s in this race, they will very, very likely be in the winner's circle. The other horse I used as a price for third was the 2, Romero Marat. I think it's important to look in the Saratoga meet at jockeys who aren't going to get a whole lot of mounts, and when they do, they're going to be long shots. Look, at every jockey tries hard in every race, but a guy like Romero Marat is going to be riding out of his boots, so to speak, to try to get more business at Saratoga. And you know he's going to be trying all the way to the end. The horse is in the money about half the time, and exactly half the time in his career. Bold Victory. You would think Uncle Howard, who we can't hear, you would think he could at least keep up with the scroll, although he was about 20 seconds late there. I hate to keep picking on him. This is a horse who's stretching out from a mile at Aqueduct. He has the 2-turn experience. Hasn't done a lot, but if you, again, you look at the recent class, he's right in his wheelhouse at this $20,000 level. He did have a second for 32 race. He got claimed out of 5 races ago. Gustavo Rodriguez claimed him 2 races ago, moved him up, and now he's back down to 20. I just think he has a shot. Blink is on, should be a little more forward. I think he's got a shot to be on the board at a big price. So those are the 3 that I looked at in race 1. And now we're going to move to race 2, and I'm going to have to play catch up here and get the off the turf scratches. I don't know if they're going to show up on the Equibase. They are not. So I am going to go into Equibase myself, assuming that they've been posted by now. Race 2. Oh, Howard is working. Good. This is good. I was getting concerned about him. Race 2, Saratoga. Where are they? Thistledown, Saratoga. Changes. No, the changes have not yet been updated because the first race is in 2 hours. Anyway, off the turf in race 2, I did not get too creative, folks. I went with what we affectionately call the mobile transit organizations, or the MTOs, main track onlys. These are horses that were entered specifically for this race to come off the turf. Linda Rice has what will likely be the favorite in the 2. One of the reasons Linda Rice is able to tie for the training title at Saratoga last year, her second, by the way, and I think that's what aggravated Chad, is that she enters a lot of horses in this off-the-turf scenario, knowing that if they get in, they're going to have a very good shot. And her 8 does here have a good shot. I went to the far outside with the 9, Mirkan Cantamachi and the Cantamachi brothers. They do phenomenal work with claimers. This is a horse they claimed 3 races ago for 40. They immediately moved him up, first for 62, then for 50, back for 62.5. Hasn't done a whole lot in the last 2 races, but remember, this is a dirt horse. This is now a dirt race. if you look at the one horse, and I don't know who's scratched yet, but the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, all primarily turf horses. So you really can't play the race like it's a turf race when it's a dirt race. So I went with the 982. Uncle Howard believes Ron Beek might stay in. He went with the 285. Ron Beek does have a little bit of dirt experience. Oh, there's the scratches. Thank you, Uncle. So it looks like the field is wiped out. Howard's 2 is scratched. The 1 is scratched. The 3 is scratched. The 4 is scratched. Keep going, Howard. Keep scrolling. The 5 is, so they're all scratched. So we got the 7, who's 50 to 1, and the 8. And is this a 3-horse race, Howard? This is a 3-horse race. So let me just tell you this, folks. If you are going to play the early pick 5, please, 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 please single someone in this race. I cost myself $7,500 on closing day at Aqueduct by not singling in the second leg of a 4-horse race and singling instead in the open leg maiden, in which there was a 3 to 5 shot. Look, it's okay not to hit pick 5s. I do it all the time. If you're going to play the multis, pick one of these 3, and I would suggest that the 7 is, even in a dirt race, is going to be much longer than the 8 and 9. But so not much to talk about here. 3-horse race, focused on the 2 MTOs and the 7, who honestly was probably entered with the thinking that the race might come off the turf. We move on. Howard's nodding his head in case you folks can't see him. We know you can't hear him. This is great, by the way. I just want to know how much my good friend Matt Miller is enjoying this at home. I predict he's enjoying it as much as any edition of the Picks and Ponies. The 3rd race was scheduled for the dirt. Best show ever, Howard. Correct. The 3rd race. Let's see the scratches, Uncle Howard. Come on, do your share here. There's one thing you can do for us. The 3rd race is scheduled for the turf, and the dirt rather. I will have to tell you that, to quote my good uncle, this is my play of the day at Saratoga. I really, really like a horse in this race. I haven't seen the scratches yet, and he is not scratched. The 3 is out. I really like the 4 in this race, Miss Maximus. Miss Maximus comes in for Norm Cassie, who had an unbelievable meet last year. I believe he had 12 starts and 5 winners, if I'm not mistaken. Norm keeps a small string here, but he has a purpose. This is a horse that Ricardo Santana. First of all, let's start with the obvious. The biggest drop in racing is from maiden special to maiden claiming. Okay, this is a horse that in Kentucky was running open maiden special, obviously, because he's a New York bred. Now he is running state bred maiden claiming in New York. This is a huge drop. Ricardo Santana is an aggressive jockey. This horse was forward in all 3 of his maiden special races, especially the first 2. He was trained by Brad Cox. Then he got moved to Norm Cassie. I think Ricardo is absolutely sitting on go on this horse, and I am firmly looking for this horse to be what I hope is a wire-to-wire winner. This will be the horse that decides my day at Saratoga. My second choice in the race was the 7, and I apologize. I am on the iPad. I can't see the chat. So if you guys are interacting, I want it to be like Howard and be dysfunctional in at least one area. I went with the 7, David Donk's horse, strictly as a board horse. He's run 6 times. He's been on the board 4 times. He's in this class. They tried a maiden special. The first race got a nosebleed for being so high up. Dropped him down to maiden claiming. He's in this 30 to 25 company, and he runs on the board 4 out of 5 times. I see no reason why he won't do the same here. And I went with the 10-horse Linda Rice, Jose Lascano. We don't have to talk about that. Is one of the most potent combinations at Saratoga. This horse, again, started with high hopes, maiden special for 70, down to 40, and now down to 30. going from Eric Cancel to Lescana. Pardon me. Going from Manny Franco to Lescano. Uh, you could assume that this horse is going to be forward based on his last two races. He something happened last time. He was trained by Tom Morley. It's been moved to Linda Rice. I don't know if it was a private sale. Last time he was forward and just gave it up. I think he might have a little more success and might stick around a little longer today. The 3 will take money. You have to pay the IRAD tax. It's a Kelly Breen horse who's been 3rd and 2nd in this company the last 2 times. So 7-2 morning line will very likely go off lower than that for Mr. Amori Stables and Kelly Breen. Kelly Breen is a Monmouth specialist, but annually has a small string at Saratoga and typically does okay. With that, we are going to go to the 4th race and see who's knocked out of that one. I did make my selections off the turf. They were 9, 1, 5. We'll see Uncle Howard's selection when they come up. 2's not scratched. That's good. Keep going, Howard. Any other scratches? 5, 1A, 6, 8. 5, 1A, 6, 8. Well, that's interesting because I was about to, in this race, there is an entry, and we all know how I feel about entries. I liked the 1 a little better, and the 1 stays in, so I don't have to be put in a situation of betting a horse I don't want. But I'll start with the horse I did play, and again, it is a main track only. It's a Bustin' Stones, who is a really, really potent sire of New York breds, folks. If you look at the New York bred sires, Bustin' Stones, who was a very quick horse. This is a horse obviously entered by Linda. Again, main track only, hoping that this race came off. The horse is cutting back in distance, but this race, I believe, stays at 5.5, Howard, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think this race has to move distance because they run 5.5 on dirt. There's a horse in this race, folks, who, Howard, can you go back to the scratches? Did the 3 stay in? The 3 stayed in. You can read about him in today's excellent edition, if I might say so myself, of the Saratoga Special. 48 pages. You might even read about your new favorite author if you read today's Saratoga Special. But there is a feature on this horse, Shoshana, who's been training at Fair Hill down in Maryland. This horse is absolutely dead send. Regardless of the surface. So this is the horse that's going to go the lead. I'm thinking the 9 on the cutback will get a good sit-off trip, and Caramouche, again, who loves to be forward, will be in position. But Martinez on the 3 will absolutely try to take this horse as far as he can. He's been running 5, 5.5, had a 6 on the synthetic at Aqueduct. They kept him in the race that day as well, and that was a $116,000 listed stakes race, the Floral Park, and didn't run horrifically. Went to the lead and did go back to 4th in a forest field, but I'm just saying he was forward, and it was a race where he wanted to be on turf. He gets a half a furlong less today. I don't expect him to go wire to wire, but, you know, sometimes horses get brave. I'm thinking the 9 sits off him and gets the right trip. I'll go then to the 1, who was my second choice, L Street Lady, fittingly named for a Boston guy. You may have heard of the L Street Brownies, the morons who go into the 10-degree water on New Year's Day every year. Doesn't seem like the wisest thing to do, but it is another good Boston tradition. LC, owned by a Boston guy, Saul Cuman and Madaket Stables, trained by Brittany Russell, who is one of, if not the best trainers in Maryland. This horse comes in here and gets a huge class break, folks. Ran in the grade 3 Miss Preakness on, I believe it would have been the Black-Eyed Susan Day. Ran pretty well. This is a dirt horse running in a dirt race who figures to be formidable. She gets Manny Franco in this race. Manny won the Jersey Girl with the horse um, last year. The issue, obviously, is the long layoff. If you look at Brittany off 180 days, she shows in the form 29%. So that shouldn't be. The only thing I worry about on the long layoff is horses who have to break particularly sharply. And I think at 5 furlongs that this horse doesn't have to break and can come running, and I think will come running. My third selection in this race was the 5, Wesley Ward's horse. Again, a horse who I think was entered for the dirt more than the turf, although as a synthetic specialist, twice at Turfway, 3 times at Turfway, once at Turf, 3 times at Turfway, once at Woodbine. Wesley thought enough of this horse to send him to a grade 3 up at Woodbine, and that did not work out. Obviously, that was a little over her head, but this is a $5,000 purchase for Lael Stables. You will remember Lael's. Oh, the 5 scratch. Why am I talking? Howard's probably saying, why is this moron talking about the 5 when he scratched? It's because I can't hear Howard telling me he scratched. So I go 9-1 there. The 4 was the horse who was going to be the favorite if he was on the turf. And Howard's going to show me if the 4 is still in. The 4 is still in. This is an interesting decision by Mark Casse. This is horse coming off a grade 3 and a grade 2 turf race. Does not show much dirt form at all. You know, who knows, folks, but this is the type of horse who could take money because people aren't paying enough attention. And we move on to the ultimate leg of this pick 5. It was scheduled on dirt, so I'm going to assume it wasn't beat up too much by the scratches. I know my good uncle will show me the 5th race scratches. He'll scroll down any up. They're up now. In the 5th race, we're going to scratch the 5, 6, and 9. Oh, the hunch horse for the Saratoga Special, Clancy Fancy, is out. So we will scratch the 5, 6, and 9 in this race. Still leaves us with a good field of 10. The 9, unfortunately, was my top pick in the race for Mr. Mott and Junior Alvarado. I wrote on my PPs in this race, folks. Tough race. I think this is a very difficult race to end the pick 5 sequence. I think you want to spread as much as you can. I think there are price horses you can make a case for, the 4 being one of them. 12-1 morning line with a no-name jockey for Jimmy Ferraro, who is a veteran trainer who knows what he's doing. Adds blinkers, and if you go back and watch, this horse ran a route on turf last race, now dropping back onto dirt, and this horse is going to be playable at 12-1. My second choice in the race, who will end up being my top choice, was the 10 DC Boys for Bruce Levine. Bruce Levine, I believe, has 2 in this race, and Bruce Levine's numbers with first-time starters in dirt sprints are very, very good. You'll see it on the screen. Howard, if you scroll to the 7 horse just for a minute, you'll see Bruce Levine. I had looked this up on my own, but 5 years, first time starter, dirt sprint, 22% with a $3.07 ROI. So I'm going to go to the, there are 2 in this race, and I was torn between them. I will land on the 10, but now with the 9 scratched, I will move the 7 into my top 3. I think the 10 fits here. Horse comes off a bullet work down at the Belmont training track, which is the only place you can train at Belmont because the main track is in the shadow of a demolished building. This is a Flying P, Jay Provenzano, co-owned horse. I think Ramon Vasquez will be aggressive, but I also think he has the advantage of sitting a trip from outside here. I think the way that I believe these 2 horses have been working together, they both posted a 59-3. They got the co-bullet last time. I would say they'll both be aggressive, but in this scenario, I think I would rather have the horse who's on the outside, and that's going to be DC Boys, a Bolt Doro horse. Bolt Doro is a sire who's had good success on both dirt and turf. $355,000 horse in this race versus the other horse that looks like a homebred. So yes, I think that this sets up pretty good for the 10. But again, you got to deal with a 3-to-1 shot on Cassie, Flavian Pratt on the rail, New York Scrappy. I had written in my notes, folks, that I think this horse might be a little overbet, maybe because of Pratt. I just think this horse has a chance, obviously, but this is not the type of race that I want to land on the favorite. I'd probably want to have him if I were 4 for 4 in the pick fives. But as far as doubles or even pick threes or playing the race vertically, I'm going to be looking to beat this horse. I'm going to use the 2 Bruce Levine first timers. Uh, my 5 was scratched. I would throw in the 4 as a price. I mentioned the 4 a little bit, just because I think the 12-to-1 morning line, I think indicates with the no-name jockey, I think you're going to get a fair price on this horse. You get a karma change with blinkers going on, and this horse was forward already in 2 maiden special races at Aqueduct. Has some experience in the mud. Again, 3rd by 10, 4th by 10, not earth-shattering, but in a race like this, Mendelssohn, of course, the sire. Mendelssohn ran 2nd in perhaps my favorite Travers ever, when Catholic Boy romped to the delight of certainly me and Bob LaPenta and a lot of other people and Jonathan Thomas. But Mendelssohn is a good sire. I think this 4 is worth looking at as a price. The rest of the card, I would encourage you to go back and watch what was a very thorough and entertaining version of Betting and
Paul,
Boozing.
can you hear me?
Oh my God! Yes, when all the work is done, Matt Miller, how fucking appropriate is this? The work is done. Okay, Howard, come in on your white horse. Come on.
Well,
Say
okay,
something.
so first of all, this is the most effed up show we've ever had, number one. I want to greatly apologize to everyone. If I'm looking to my left, it's because I'm on my iPad now, and my monitor's over here. So everything's jacked up. I greatly apologize. I switched to my iPad. I should have done that a long time ago. What happened is I had a little electronic surge or electricity surge. And for some reason, the Chrome, which I'm using for my browser, will not allow me to use my mic right now. I don't know what's going on my PC. So I'm using my iPad. Again, I greatly apologize. But what we have to do, Paul, for sure, and you did an awesome job. How about a hand for Paul for covering for me, covering my ass. Again, people that are new to the show, Paul, are wondering what the hell kind of operation is this going on. Paul, you can confirm, first time in what, 200 shows you've been on with me and Paul that this has happened. So I don't know.
Yes. No. Hey, look, it's opening day. We're off the turf, and you were off the mic.
But I do want to do something very special, and it looks like most people are on right now. And by the way, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Again, for everyone who has no idea what's going on, I'm Howard Kravitz, host of the HHH Racing Podcast. My mic was not working. I'm having tech issues. I'm on my iPad. I do want to do one thing, Paul, to end the show, because this is I took a long time to get ready for this. There's this horse, and I promised my good friend Noah Maher that I would do this, of co-host of Ben and Boozin. Before I do what I want to do, Paul, if anyone's interested in the late pick 5, that's on Bet and Boozin, covered that last night, episode 90. So please go on to Bet and Boozin show last night for the late pick 5. Our Saratoga Today morning shows, everyone, are only Saturdays and Sundays usually. We're going today because it is opening day, so we're doing special. But Saratoga Today will be on Saturdays and Sundays. The mic will not be an issue in the future. I apologize, but we're doing something special today. So here you go. You ready, Paul? So, Nay Jude's a great name, right? Now, when I was out with Ben and Boozin in February, everyone be ready. Strap it in, everyone. When I was on with Ben and Boozin in February, there was a horse called Rocket Can, who's actually running today, coincidentally. And I sung a parody to Rocket Man called Rocket Can. And guess what happened? The horse won. It was my top pick. And the horse won at 5-2. Now, Nay Jude is not, I want to repeat, not my top pick. But if everyone will allow me, and everyone be ready to get your tape recorders out, I got a little song I want to sing for everyone. Paul, feel free to join in. Are you ready? Here we go.
Oh, yeah, right.
Nay, Jude, you're not very good. You'll be over bets because Irad is riding. Remember, don't wager on mediocre horses, especially when Irad's in the saddle. Irad. Ah. Nah. Come on, everyone sing. Nah.
That was actually pretty good.
Nah. Nay, Jude.
Nay, Jude.
She is going to be overbet. Nah. How'd I do? Thank you,
That was
everyone.
pretty good. I got to tell you what.
How many viewers did we lose?
And Howard, I'm happy that I assume that's what you really think too, because
It is what I think. I don't like her at all.
And that's good because you heard me talk about my best bet of the day right next door.
Yes, I like your 4, and I like the 10 also. Anyway, look, it's oh man, I had to do it, Paul. I had to do it. And by the way, that was the plan, even if the mic didn't get jacked up. So I appreciate everyone tolerating me. We like to have fun in the show. Again, Paul, awesome job. We do have best bets that we want to show. So let's end with best bets right now.
Yes.
Here.
Good.
Oh, look, Joe Metka in the chat. Thanks, Joe.
Philly Joe.
Right. Appreciate it. I thought it was okay. I actually have a decent singing, but I got some musical background. No more singing, I promise. By the way, if Rocket Can wins, Paul, Noah Maher, co-host of Ben and Boozin, promised me personally that he would come on the show and sing. He does not like Rocket Can today. So everyone should be rooting for Rocket Can in race 8. Well, is it race 8 or race 9? I can't remember.
I'll tell you.
All right.
Howard,
anyway.
You know what? They talked about that race, and we're not going to, but I put in the chat last night, if you folks want to know why Saratoga is so special, go to race 9 today.
Yeah.
That is an allowance race that is a stakes race at any other track in the world any day, maybe with the exception of Ascot.
It's a grade 3.5 for sure.
No doubt.
And by the way, I know you don't want to mention the W word, so I'm going to mention it. The weather's going to be great the rest of the weekend. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sunny. And for all the knuckleheads out there that are like, oh, they're off the turf and want to whine and bitch and moan, Paul, they're not going to rip up the turf course the first day of the meet. So I have zero problem with it. The only thing I do want to say, a little rant. I'll do a little rant right now because I'm in that kind of mood. What is it? Was race 2 the race where there's only 3 horses today, right? Race 2?
Yes.
Okay. Paul, this is the reason why synthetic racing is good.
Yeah.
Because no one wants 3-horse fields. And if they had a synthetic track there, they could run a 7 or 8 horse race and it would be a real nice race. So anyway, I don't mean to off.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But isn't race 2 the example of why you need synthetic courses when this stuff happens?
Yeah, and especially, Howard, one of the things we should talk about is, and this is a real positive, the PPs at Saratoga are out way earlier than ever before. Naira in the past did not draw the Saturday card until Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. This Saturday card was drawn on Sunday. Now the trade-off for that is obviously when they're putting the races together, they're looking at the forecast. And if it's going to rain early in the day, you might see the turf races backloaded to the end of the card, or vice versa. So you're going to get cards where, but I will take the trade-off any day, Howard, as I'm sure you would, to have the 6th day out. And I agree with you. Look at folks, Howard, this is what I've heard so far. People are pissed off that they're off the turf. People are pissed off that it rained. People are pissed off that you can't buy food with cash, just like every other goddamn sporting venue in the country since COVID, especially. Okay.
Here's my response to them, Pat. Paul.
You know what
Dry
pisses
your
me off?
eyes, deal with it, people.
You know what pisses me off, Howard? People getting pissed off for minor shit. Okay.
You know what, people? You know what's okay to be pissed off about? An effing mic that doesn't work in the middle of an important
Yeah, well,
joke.
and if we only could have kept it off 3 minutes more, you wouldn't have been subjected to Nate June.
Hey, people like the singing.
No,
hey, Paul,
I'll tell you what. That was good. That was pretty good. I got to be honest.
Thank you.
Look,
I wrote out the lyrics. I took this seriously. Okay,
yeah.
anyway.
But yeah, folks, there's 39 more days. Okay, let's just relax. Let's enjoy it. I did this rant 2 weeks ago. Let's enjoy it for what it is. Okay, it's 40 days of some of the best racing. Is it what it was 20 years ago? No. Is it what it was 10 years ago? No. It is what it is, to quote the great Bill Parcells, who you can find at the Oklahoma in the mornings, sitting in his car watching the workouts. It is what it is, but it's what we got. And I, for one, am a pretty damn happy guy today to be betting Saratoga.
Well, let's wrap this. By the way, Maction Y2K5, so the viewers went from 1,375. But no, actually, the viewership, I think, went up. So I might just sing some more. Anyway, let's end the show, Paul, so we can go ahead and let the NYRA ladies and gentlemen do their thing. Your best bet is in race 3. It's Miss Maximus, the number 4. You'd go win and place there. You'd also follow that up with the double, race 3 to 4, 4, and then you go 1, 9. And I believe the 1 and 9, that's the 1, not the 1A. The
Correct.
flat 1 who's in the race.
Yep.
And the 9, so that would be your play, correct? Of the early pick 5 of the early card. Sorry.
Yeah, the double was predicated on the 4th race being off the turf because I followed the directions of my teacher, Mr. Kravitz.
Right. Okay. Do you want to give a quick play of the day for the late pick 5 or later in the card? I have not looked at strategies yet. I've been a little verklempt here with the mic, so.
Yeah, I'm going to look, if you give me a second, because I did watch every minute of Betting and Boozing last night, by the way, with our friend Justin.
It was great.
Sampson it really was. There was a lot of information.
I'll tell you what, while you're doing that, Paul, I'll talk about my late pick 5. I really like Salute the Stars, the number 2, in race 9. That is the Rocket Can race, who I like also. I don't know what to do with Blazing Sevens, man. Blazing Sevens me the favorite, but I don't know. He was so bad in the Met Mile. Like, I don't know why he was that bad. But anyway, I like Salute the Stars, who I think has the rail, even though he's the 2 horse in race 9. That's
I would agree with you. I'm going to be against Blazing Sevens. That horse is a real enigma, Howard.
Yeah. Let me give, here's my early part of the card. Best bet in the first race, Paul, which we didn't have a chance. Well, you talked about it, but I didn't have a chance to. Let me go to it really quick, and then we'll wrap up the show. Again, I appreciate everyone's patience. In this race, Paul, I wrote some things down. There are only 6 horses in this race, Paul, that have won at a 1 1/8 and have won on an off track. Now, the track is actually good and might not be that wet, but the 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11. 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, Paul, are the only horses in race 1 that have won at the distance and on a wet surface. I think the number 11, Boss Making Moves for Pratt. I know it's a horrible post. He's a closer. Pratt's going to take back. They're all going to gun. They're going to ride this race like a grade 1, right? Everyone wants to win the first race Saratoga. I don't trust Empty Tomb, the number 7, at all. I think it's going to be a very fast pace. I think Boss Making Moves at, 10 to 1 is a real live shot to at least get in the money, Paul. And you use the number 11, Boss Making Moves, in every spot in your trifecta. Reverse key your back wheel. The other play I like, which I'll show on the screen in the early part of the card, is in race 5. You mentioned some of the first-time starters. I don't know how good they are. We'll see. I do know one thing. Stormy's Dreamin', which is now, it's not on the screen. I just realized. Hold on one second. I'll bring it on the screen. Hold on one second. Stormy's Dreamin', the number 2, is a little bit slower, but he's been working very well, Paul, It's the other Charlie Baker. If this horse is able to get out of the gate, he's got a big shot in this race. So I like Dylan quite a bit. He's an excellent rider. The number 2, Stormy's Dreamin' in race 5, if he's able to break even a little bit, I think is very live at a price in race 5. Paul, that's going to wrap it up, my friend. Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, apologies for the tech difficulty with Paul. You were fantastic. Any final thoughts for the viewers and listeners as we start Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa in July, Saratoga opening day? Final thoughts.
No, I would just encourage people to pay attention, Howard. See how the track's playing, not just today, but is it trending speed, close, inside, outside? I wouldn't overreact to that, but I would certainly pay attention. Pay attention to trainers and jockeys who get off to very good starts or very bad starts. This is a meet where that's the one thing that does aggravate me about the rain today, by the way. This is a meet where, typically when things that happen early tend to carry through a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bet your whole bankroll for the meet on the early pick 5. I'd save a little for tomorrow and Saturday and the next 38 days. But, yeah, I would say pay attention and be selective in what you do.
Excellent advice again. Tonight, Paul, you, myself, and Pete. Pete has work responsibilities this morning. We are all going to be on tonight, 8 p.m.
Double shift? Double shift? Double shift? Do we get overtime? I'm calling OSHA.
Oh, the people have spoken.
Matt Miller, can you file a complaint with OSHA? Jesus Christ.
Paul, the people have spoken. They want you, man. What do you want me to do? I do what people say. 8 p.m. Eastern. Guess what? Mike Gillum, NHC champion.
Nice.
2024 is going to join us tonight to talk about a great late pick 5 Saturday at Saratoga. Woo. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday mornings, we have Saratoga Today. One will be with you. One will be with Pete. So for my good friend from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Saratoga Special and Saratoga Enthusiast, well, this direction. There we go. Paul Howard, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz. First episode of Saratoga Today. Crush your bets at the spa. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.